I want to now bring in Dr. Amesh Adalja, a senior scholar with Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security. Doctor, thank you for joining me this morning. Back to Mills reporting hundreds of ducks found infected and dead along Lake Michigan here in Chicago. Is this outbreak now out of control? And what's being done about it, you think?
When it comes to the avian species, poultry, ducks, chickens, it has been out of control for some time. What we've seen are millions of chickens be infected. We've seen ducks, we've seen turkeys, as well as geese. So this is something that is widespread in the bird population. And as you heard, you can't control it in the bird populations, but what you can do is minimize its impact on poultry farms and minimize its impacts on dairy cattle, which is the new species that's been infected, by having really stringent biosafety testing, personal protective equipment at those farms. And for too long, we've kind of let it fester on farms. And now we are dealing with a situation where there are hundreds of dairy cattle farms that are impacted, and we're seeing threats to dairy workers. And the thing is, the more times bird flu can infect a human, the more chance it has to adapt. So that's the issue, is that we need to be aggressive and proactive about this, not reactive, if we're going to prevent this from causing any more damage to humans.
Yeah, and speaking of that, let's elaborate and go a bit deeper there. We don't have the most up-to-date numbers because various health agency websites are down right now. But as of January 28th, the CDC had tracked dozens of human cases, including one death. Are humans more at risk to contract this illness now, doctor?
The general public doesn't seem to be getting infected. We have some cases in Missouri and in California where we don't know how they got it, but all of the other cases have been people who have had either very close contact with dairy cattle or with sick birds. And so that's something that I think reassures us that this virus, even though it's widespread, is very constrained in infecting humans, and it certainly hasn't spread between humans, which are steps that it would need to take to become something much more dangerous. So every time a human case occurs, they look at it, they genetically characterize it, and they see, does it have the mutations necessary to be adapted to humans? And we have not seen that happen yet. But what we know is that number on the CDC website, the 60-something cases, that's likely an underestimate, because many farms are not really aggressive with testing their workers. Workers don't want to step forward. The farm owners don't want their farm labeled as a place where there is bird flu. So we don't have perfect situational awareness of how many human cases there are, but there certainly are more than those 60. And I think what we need to do is take this seriously, because even if this doesn't turn into a pandemic, there will be an avian influenza strain that will, just like it did in 1918. And we have to be aggressive. We have to get these measures in place, because what's happened is you've got something happening on farms, especially dairy farms, where there's a tension between the economics of this and the human health implications of this. And that's not the best way to go about this.
A lot of different domino effects here. Quickly, before I let you go, what about eating infected product? Can you get the bird flu from eating an infected bird or an egg? Is it time to worry about food supply now?
If the bird or the egg is cooked properly, no, you can't. Although if you're preparing the bird, it could be a vector for infection. So you've got to use appropriate, personal protective equipment when you're dealing with raw meat. And we have seen raw pet food be linked to cases in cats. So it is definitely there. The big threat we have, though, is unpasteurized milk. So pasteurization of milk from dairy cattle will inactivate the virus, but we do know that there are people that will drink raw milk, that advocate raw milk, including someone like RFK Jr., who advocates raw milk drinking. That's something where there is a major risk. So pasteurize the milk, cook the eggs, cook the chicken, and that's not that's going to protect you from getting it in that way.
Good to know what to avoid right now. Dr. Amesh Adalja, thank you so much, sir. Really appreciate your time and expertise.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. Also, don't forget to click that red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.